England winning their first qualifier in this international break in Hungary, 4-0 that scoreline, and all eyes now look ahead to the home match against Andorra tomorrow. We'll look ahead to the Andorra game in just a moment, but looking back on that Hungary victory, it was really a tale of two halves, wasn't it? Which is that classic cliche that I hate to use, but I've used it. And it was a sort of, I don't know how to put it, the first half. It was, well, there was no shots on target, so a little bit disappointing for both sides, no shots on target. But England came out and just stepped up another gear, didn't they, against Hungary?
Yeah, because Hungary had no intention of trying to score. I think the only thing I saw Jordan Pickford do was take a goal kick in the first half. Now, we're laughing at.
No,
it's true.
no, yeah.
That's all he did. He might as well have gone for a hot dog because he really had nothing to do. I do think Raheem Sterling really comes to the forefront of everyone's thinking in how to turn a game, because one thing that stood out from the first half is the ability he has in going past defenders or midfielders. He can always take a game by the scruff of the neck, and he doesn't have. Look, he has some people that just don't seem to like Raheem. That's an opinion they have of him. They're not quite sure of what type of winger he is. But he's the one player in the England shirt that I really do believe in. Look, Sancho might do that when he's given a chance, but he can get past defenders, fullbacks, midfielders. He can go past them. And he might sometimes be wasteful, but he's prepared to take people on. And that is ultimately the way the game opened up.
And it's the way that he can get in behind that causes a lot of issues for defenders as well, and helps to open up the play for England. And I know beforehand Gareth Southgate spoke about wanting to be more adventurous England, and sort of alluding to a bit, I suppose, like a thrust in the England team, shall we say? Because when you look back at the Euros, that was the one thing that everyone kept saying. We have all these exciting forward players, and yet sometimes the games didn't really match up to the quality on the pitch. But we saw that in the second half because there was some great link-up play with the players. Yeah,
international football's strange now. I've said this many a time because there's easy games. Okay, you can roll over teams. You can have really easy internationals. And then you get to a level where teams are decent and quite well set up. And then you play the top-end teams that are very dangerous, and they can punish you, can get misled in international football. And England experienced a bit of that in the Euros because Scotland did a number on England, but are not a particularly. They were a decent side. Stevie Clark's put a side together. You can see they're pretty competent on what they're trying to do, and they'll make it difficult. And England got caught by Scotland in the Euros. Okay, it was a draw and wasn't much of a game. I was there. But then you play against Italy. And I think one of the reasons why Gareth was so upset and talked about this recently, Harry, he couldn't digest what had happened in the summer. I think because he knew England should have won it. And he's evolving the England team. And with that little bit more adventure and having Mount in there, having Grealish on the left side and then having Sterling on the right and Kane dropping in certain areas, England are evolving as a team and getting better. I don't think, and people might laugh at, thinking this, I don't think it's a better team in world football. I really don't. I think, look, I haven't seen hardly anything of the South Americans because they've not really been playing of late. But England will go to the next World Cup and will be a feared team. They'll be the team that a lot of other nations will talk about. Now, people might go, well, that's been said in the past. But I think there's something a little bit more special about this England team. I think they have a lot of good things. They have defenders who can score goals, they have midfielders who can stop the opposition, and they have forwards who can score and create problems against the opposition's defence. They've got a lot of good things that will scare. They're fullbacks. I mean, England's fullbacks are just ridiculous. To think that Trent can't even get close to, being the number one as a wing-back, fullback. There was a debate yesterday about trying to get him in after a 4-0 victory over Hungary, and people are talking, how do you get Trent in this team?
Well, they've been talking about putting him into midfield as an option, haven't they?
Well, you're having to find options of where you can put him in, and can he play that position?
Would you play him in midfield?
I think it's a little bit more true. Like I said, the different levels of international football, the top-end teams, you can get misled. You can play a team and roll them over, and it can all look great, and Trent could be incredible. But Trent isn't as good without the ball. Now, I'm not sure that I think you'd pay a bit of price if you were playing one of the leading nations in world football.
Well, you'd need to steal in the middle of the park.
Well, you don't want to be easy to bypass. I mean, Grealish isn't the greatest at defending. You could go past Grealish quite comfortably. And then you had Trent in that team as well, slightly on the right side, and you could get past him. Now, you're not playing with nightmen. That's unfair. But they're not. That's not their strengths. And I think you have to be really good without the ball now as the game evolves. And England are a really good side.
Jack Grealish obviously started against Hungary. When you look back at the Euros, he only started one game for England. Was brought on as a sub in all the games, pretty much. I think maybe a couple, maybe he didn't. But only started one game, which I think was against the Czech Republic in the group stage. As I mentioned, he started, though, against Hungary. Is it important that Gareth Southgate, as you've alluded to already, with switching Sterling to the right, he's accommodating space for Grealish?
Yes, because I do think, like he did for one of the goals, I can't remember which one it was, but that sense of when someone overlaps him and he just rolls it into their path. Jack does that brilliantly. That creates problems because no one likes to get near him because you're going to commit a foul. More often than not, he's very good at getting situations and danger areas against the opposition. And I think he's realised, look, Jack Grealish came in via a friendly and then played really well, and then played really well in the next game. And it sort of, I think Gareth got to the stage where once the Euros has ended, probably felt, I've got to get Jack in this team somehow. How about if I switch, which happens a lot. I mean, I've seen Sterling switch for Man City numerous times. Seen him do it against Liverpool with Foden. He was there to do a number on a certain player. He can do that role, Sterling. So, yeah, Jack coming into the team and keep him mounting it. Sometimes you go, well, Grealish comes in, will Mount come out, or will the other wing? And he didn't. He didn't opt to do that. Now, I think that obviously the $64,000 question is going to be, are you prepared to do that against one of the best teams in the world in international football? That is the question, because if you want to win a tournament, I believe England are going to have to do that.
Well, we have to wait and see, won't we? Because it's Andorra next.
Yeah, Andorra next, yeah.
We're going to talk about them at 8 o'clock, that game coming up tomorrow.
Just one thing, Nat, and me and you chatted about this before the Euros. Remember that to win a tournament, you're probably going to have to win a penalty shootout and win a game in extra time. So you have to keep that in your thinking. Mm-hmm. Well, because nearly all the teams do.
They nearly did it.
Yeah.
Nearly did.
But you're going to probably have to win that scenario.
Yes.
So, even things like Ward Prowse, why would you not take him if you have a penalty shootout in a really demanding moment where you know that he's probably likely to score? Even these little things can make a massive difference.
Yeah, it's all fine margins.
Yeah, fine,
we always
very
say
fine.
it all the time, don't we?